There we go, in progress. And there's Mark. Hello, thank you for coming on video. So welcome everybody. It's top of the hour, 7 o'clock here in New York, where I'm calling in from. We'll go to for about 90 minutes. A couple more are coming in, which is fabulous. So by way of introduction, I am in the entertainment industry. I have 4 careers, such a New Yorker. I'm a career life and business coach, and I coach lots of creatives in entertainment, a lot of TV, film writers, directors, producers, puppeteers, animators, set designers. I also have a background as a talent agent, and now I consult as a talent agent on people's pitches, how to pitch your screenplay, how to pitch your TV series. For those StartOut members, how to pitch your idea, how to pitch your startup, how to pitch your business. I'm also an entertainment lawyer, emphasize entertainment. I don't set up corporations. I don't do immigration law or criminal law. And my 4th career, I'm an adjunct at School of Visual Arts here in New York, which is a virtual course on pitching your scripted TV series. There it is, pitching. So I'm very much a pitch coach as well. I've been doing workshops and events for StartOut for about 7 years now. Beginning about 7 years ago for Demo Day here in New York. It's probably virtual now. When it was in person, I would meet founders a week before they were pitching angel investors and work on their pitches. And now I do, actually started today, I do a coaching group for monthly coaching group for founders at StartOut. I do topic workshops for StartOut, like I'm doing now on being the authentic you. So that's my background. I love to find out who's in the room. So before we get to the authentic you, actually, you're going to be the authentic you as soon as you start sharing with the group. What do you do career-wise in terms of your business or whatever else you do? And also know that I love to play with people's language that actually hold you back. So I will be giving you feedback on words and phrases that hold you back, and you'll see what I mean. So let's start with, oh, by the way, a couple of ground rules, nothing complicated. There's no Q&A at the end. So as you have questions, comments, observations, the best time to ask them is the moment they come up. And you can get my attention in 2 ways. The first way is this, because we're all on the same Zoom screen. You could also go to the bottom of your screen where it says reactions on the right side, open that up, click raise hand icon. I will see that as well. I'm not going to be monitoring the chat. Use the chat for, direct messaging each other, giving resources. That's totally fine. And finally, and I'll mention this again at the end of the call, I'm offering everybody, all the participants today, a complimentary 30-minute consultation on FaceTime or Zoom on your career, any part of your career. And the easiest way to get to me is very simply through my website, which is the very simple jimarnoff.com. And we'll set up a 30-minute consult and see if, further working with me makes a lot of sense for you. All right, that's my pitch. Oh, Levi, just want to say where you're calling in from for everybody. Just come off mute. You can do it. We know you can, Levi. All right, well, we'll have you work on it. You can do it for a couple of minutes. So, all right, so Amy, with lots of specificity and briefly, what's your career? What's your business?
So very in line with what you've got going on. I actually want to take the business accelerator concept and make it into a reality show. So I've been working on this for about 2 years. I have 1 pilot episode completed. I have 6 of the 12 episodes written out as a screenplay. I'm working with Revry to get it aired as soon as I have it produced. So I'm kind of in the middle phases of I've got some of the beginning pieces and I've got a contract towards the end to air it. So now I've got to produce season 1 and season 2. So I'm trying to raise funds and figure out how to do that.
So one word to let go of for all of you is the word trying, right? Because trying has a lack of commitment to it, and you're actually not trying, you're actually doing. And the reason people often say trying, they're thinking, well, what if it never happens? What if I change my mind? It's not about the future, it's your present commitment. And as long as you're committed to make something happen, you actually never need to use the word try. All right, Marie, share what you do in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Good evening. Good evening. Marie Boone out here in Massachusetts. And I help business owners, specifically coaches and consultants, grow, and scale their businesses by securing funding.
Beautiful. One word, Marie, I would shift from helping, which is actually a very low energy word, to empowering.
Love it. Thank you.
That word. Yeah. Christina, you're up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Fiallo. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an attorney and social entrepreneur. I'm a co-founder of a national nonprofit called Freedom for Immigrants that I started while I was in law school and ran for 11 years and transitioned out of that and have been working at USC's Marshall School of Business, educating the next generation of emerging social entrepreneurs. But recently started an impact basically consulting practice to provide fractional COO work to nonprofits and early stage startups. And I'm also working on starting a new social enterprise at the intersection of LGBTQ rights and media. And I'm a bi advocate as well. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, so excellent share. 2 words. If I remember what they were, one is basically, Christina, because nothing you do is basic. So you want to let go of that. And the other word to let go of is transitioning, or it's relative pivoting. And the reason you don't want to use those 2 words, they don't fully embrace everything you've done before, right? Because you're not transitioning. You may be expanding or going into a new venture, but you're taking everything you've learned, Christina, in law school, working in nonprofits, and you're bringing all of that to your new venture.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. So building upon, expanding, that really embraces all parts of you, because that's how you make the strongest connection, by not only sharing all of your experience, how they all beautifully work together, build together, and transitioning and pivoting actually minimizes your background. Okay, great. Justin, what do you do?
Hey, I'm Justin, live in Washington, D.C. I do software development and business strategy consulting. Also started a podcast called Queer Changemakers to share our stories of LGBTQ plus people doing stuff to make the world a better place. Yeah.
Beautiful. You did it. Excellent. Susie.
Hi, first up, y'all are doing some really awesome stuff. So happy to be in this room with you. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're doing this, that's so cool. Anyway, hi, I'm Susie, my pronouns are she, her. Currently I'm co-founder and CTO at a company called Nula. Briefly, we're empowering women and folks assigned female at birth with insights and tailored action plans to help them take control of their hormonal health. I'm based in LA, but as you can probably tell from the accent, originally from the UK.
Beautiful, thank you. And Shane.
Hi, yeah. My name is Shane. I run a design consulting firm and brand management firm, empowering mainly LGBTQ artists in the erotica writing sections and whatnot, kind of get themselves in line for publication. I'm also working on developing a queer space, an actual cafe source here in Sonoma County, for late night sober spots for queer people to meet.
Beautiful. Shane, one word to stay away from, and for everybody to stay away from, and these words you use unconsciously is the word kinda and its sister sorta, because those words diminish whatever comes next by 90%. Here's my favorite example. Shane, I meet you at a networking event. I say, hi, I'm Jim Arnoff. I'm kind of a coach. You're kind of a coach? Are you? You're not sure? You don't know? You would never hire me. So kind of, sort of, don't need them at all, and they actually take away from what you're talking about. All right, Veronica.
Hi everyone, I'm Veronica. I'm a high performance coach. I work with business owners in the tech and startup ecosystem, as well as those transitioning from corporate to the startup ecosystem. I have a background in law. I was an ex-technology lawyer at Google and Baker McKenzie, which is a large global law firm. So been in this advisory space for quite some time, and yeah, excited to be here. Thanks so much.
Beautiful, great. Rachel.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Rachel. Pronouns
Hold on a
she.
second. Just the neighborhood is called Shaw. I knew it would come to me. I just had to share that. Okay.
I don't live there, but
Rachel.
cool.
Go, Rachel.
I don't live anywhere as cool as DC. Anyway,
Okay.
kidding. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. My pronouns are she, her. I am a senior design lead who specializes in user experience design, leading design and research, mostly Fortune 500 clients. Currently in a large technology consulting firm, and my passion is going into in-house work in women's healthcare and diversity, equity, inclusion, which is one of my passions.
Rachel, every word counted. Great specificity. All right, Mark.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark. I'm from San Francisco. I'm the founder of Diamond Dust Games. We're working on bringing queer-centric video games to the mainstream.
Beautiful. And Mark, you need to be doing some voiceover work.
Voiceover? Okay.
You ever been told that?
Once or twice.
Yes, you've got a very distinctive, very soothing, yet powerful voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, Theodora, if you want to share what you do.
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm Theodora. Again, it's 1 a.m. here in Germany, and I'm actually the CEO and co-founder of StartOut. And we are building an app that everybody around the world can find their perfect travel buddy with the help of AI. So we just started. And it's my dream to open like a queer startup cafe. So let's see.
All right, you're a matchmaker. Lovely.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
David.
Hello, my name is David. My pronouns are they, them. Right now, for me, the most important thing I can be doing is meeting the moment of AI and all of its possibilities by creating jobs, by finding purpose for people as they move through this time of change. I am a founder, a relationship coach, and angel investor. And right now I'm in talks to join a venture studio for making these things happen and helping everyone here to create new opportunities.
So what was beautiful about your share, David, is you were in your, what I call your passion zone. Everything you shared was your passion. It showed your purpose in life, your mission, and you were in that place, and that is the most powerful way to connect. So very well done. Hyacinth.
You get so excited. I love it. So hi, everyone. I am Hyacinth, and I'm the owner of the Laundry Basket LLC, and we are an on-demand, subscription-based mobile laundry and dry cleaning delivery solution servicing the greater DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia area. And we are committed to liberating busy professionals and families from the stress, frustration, and overwhelm that comes from that dreaded household chore of laundry so that they can do the things that they value. Nice meeting everyone.
Now that's a pitch. And one thing you want to do, and I didn't give you the prompt on this one, when you share about what you do, whether it's working for somebody else, running your own business, you always want to share the inspiration.
Oh, yeah, we did that last. Okay, so you didn't ask for it this time. Okay. Yep.
And your inspiration for creating your company.
Oh, are you asking me or are you just telling me?
I'm asking you.
Oh, yes, yes. So I'm at Veronica's house and she has clothing all over the place. And I'm like, is that underwear on the lamp and pants in the sink? And so she was a busy professional. I understood her pain, and that's where my business started.
Good. You relieve pain. Beautiful. All right.
Mhm.
Levi, I know you were able to come off mute, so come off mute and tell folks where you're calling in from and what do you do?
Hi, I'm Levi. I use they, them pronouns. I founded Way Career Travel Society in the thoughts that one, I feel that everybody deserves to be able to travel, and it brings so many barriers down. And it's not always easy to travel while queer. So wanted to try to make that a little bit easier for folks, and planned itineraries for every client.
Beautiful. So remember, Levi, you're not trying, you're actually doing. There we go. Bingo. Nana.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Nana. I'm the founder and head of product of a very early stage venture right now on a mission to cultivate 1 billion human capital, one tech experience at a time. Glad to meet you all.
Lovely. All right. Alfred, and where are you calling in from, Alfred?
Hey, I'm in Texas. Sorry, I was a bit late.
All right. So we never say sorry. We say, I'm so glad I made it.
So glad I made it.
There you go. Much better energy. You got it. And tell us what you do, Alfred.
Sure. So yes, I'm Alfred. I work in the tech startup venture capital space. I run a company called Dex Savvy, where I specialize in visual storytelling and presentations designed to resonate and convert audiences. So 95% of my time, that means pitch decks. I'm working with founders to raise capital and get funded.
Yep.
And I'm happy to be here with you all.
Lovely. And if you want to share where you're calling in from and what do you do? All right. And if you want to share later, let me know. Michelle.
Hi, nice to see everyone. Yeah, I'm Michelle Baker. I give voice to those who are changing the world. I have a real passion for everybody having a voice. And I felt like as a kid, I didn't have one. And really have spent my life giving voice to those who are purpose-driven and really trying to make a difference. I've spent probably 30 years in the tech industry, building everything from Fortune 500s to many startups. Some we took to billion-dollar acquisitions over the years. And I'm very hands-on with strategic communications, brand development, and taking companies from their roots and building up authentic businesses to grow and make a difference.
Well done. Where are you calling in from, Michelle?
San Diego.
San Diego. All right, Joan. If you're there, Joan, and want to come off mute, love to hear where you're calling in from and what do you do? All right, we may come back to Joan. Lily.
Hello, I got it. Okay.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Hi.
Hold on.
Yes.
Let's go back to Joan. She came off mute. Go, Joan.
Hi, this is Joan. I'm from New York. I go by she and her. I'm a professional program manager, and I recently started a 5 Millicent, which is a company that we cater to all lifestyles. I'm more into social skills, presentation, social, getting people to know each other by networking. So that's what I'm working with right now.
Beautiful. Thanks, Joan, for sharing. And finally, Lily.
Hi, everybody. It's really nice to meet everyone here. I'm a founder of a company called Hyphenova, which is a social good media streaming company. And what we do is we amplify historically underrepresented voices. And the spirit of our company, we were an outgrowth during the pandemic. We came together as creators on other social audio and social media apps and got to know each other and just saw the need to have our voices be heard.
Beautiful. And 516, if you're able to share on your phone. Maybe not. Okay, great. So let me ask the group, and we're not going to do a go round again. What was it like to share, and what was it like to hear other shares? So we do it popcorn style, whoever wants to say whatever they want to say.
I found the group of people here quite impressive.
What did you really connect with in terms of the shares, Marie?
Just how so many people are purpose-driven.
Beautiful. Excellent. Others, what was it like to share? What did you connect with on other shares?
I agree. I thought everyone was so impressive, and I really loved that a lot of people were really clear and succinct with what they were saying. And so it really allowed like just to be involved in their story like from the get-go, which I thought was really cool. And then for me to share, I was I was like, oh wow, like this is cool. Just to sort of continue to practice and make sure that you're really nailing it and having that clarity and that succinct nature when I'm sharing as well.
Beautiful, great. A couple of other shares about the sharing.
I would say I love to hear like the passion and confidence that a lot of people had, like their faces kind of like lit up when they started to share. And I would say since this is my second go around, I definitely was less nervous than the first one. So
okay,
yeah.
right. So that's the showing up
Yeah.
and sharing. Not that you had a choice, but it is you could have passed, but I wouldn't let you pass because everybody actually you do want to participate. So yes, showing up and practicing. Thank you, Hyacinth. One more share about the sharing.
I found it a little nerve-wracking, but then it's also great practice because you never know when you're going to have to pitch somebody. So having that on call is useful. And it was really great to hear everybody's pitches and hear variations because we're a diverse group of people, what we do. But I really loved when people are talking about both their passion for helping other people, but then the people who talked about they started this journey by being passionate about something. So it's interesting to see everybody kind of riffing on a template, but making it very much their own, which was great.
And for you, Rachel, what was nerve-wracking about it?
I know we can't talk about transition, but off the elevator pitch, I'm definitely in a point of transition. So trying to figure out what's a compelling narrative. And I've been stuck in corporate life for so long, and I'm trying to find a very compelling, passionate narrative. And I really heard some great inspiring words today.
And Rachel, what are you most passionate about now?
Women's health and diversity.
Great. And what would that ideal career look like in those two areas?
That is a longer conversation.
Whatever comes to mind. It could be for others. It could be on your own.
Yeah, as part of a startup, helping people, definitely, and that's the part I'm struggling with. So.
And what's the struggle?
Just try. I am in a lot of different audiences, startups, more social impact spaces, and trying to have a compelling narrative on the fly of when you're meeting these different groups of people and try to figure out what is the right thing to highlight. I don't want to just give the same elevator pitch to the same pitch to the same audience over and over again.
Great. All right. So I tell everybody to let go of the elevator pitch. There is actually no such thing as an elevator pitch. In fact, if I was in an elevator, a real elevator, and I wanted to pitch somebody, here's what it would be. Oh my goodness, I so love your shoes. The color matches your eyes. It exudes and parallels your energy, right? That would be my elevator pitch, right? Because I'm not going to pitch somebody I don't know. Oh, I do this, I do that. It's about making the connection and taking your time with it. And to your point, Rachel, your pitch will be different every single time, depending upon the environment, who you're pitching. So you give yourself a lot of flexibility and you take a lot of pressure off your pitching. And you definitely want to stay away from the phrase figuring it out. Because figuring it out, you actually know what your passion is. It's more the declaring it. That's where people really get, oh my God, I'm declaring it. Well, actually, you do need to declare it. And by the way, declaring it does not mean you're guaranteeing it. It doesn't mean you're not going to change your mind. It's where you are right now, right? Because the two areas I hear from you, Rachel, are it was diversity and inclusion, right? And what was the first part?
I'm sorry, women's health or femtech.
Right. So those are my areas. So what will help you in pitching is what you know right now, right? I know my passions are in this space or spaces, and you don't need to know how to get there or exactly what it's going to look like. So when you come from, and David did this beautifully, and most of you did too. In fact, all of you did. This is just to come from your passion zone. When you use the phrase, I'm passionate about, you get people's attention. I'm passionate about making people's lives easier and freeing up their time to do what they truly love the most. I'm thinking of Hyacinth, right? So you don't have to have it all together. It's simply declaring what I'm passionate about is. How's that for you, Rachel?
Awesome. Amazing.
Great. Okay. So let's get to the topic, which you've already started about being authentic. So when you hear being the authentic you, what comes to mind? And there are absolutely no right or wrong answers to anything on this in this workshop.
I can
like
check.
bringing.
All right. I heard Alfred first, and then who else wanted to share? David. Okay. Let's go to Alfred and then David. Go, Alfred. What's authenticity mean to you?
I'm still, to be honest, I don't want to use that word figuring it out, but to me, I think authenticity is in flux in many ways. And the challenge that I'm finding myself in currently, which is part of why I joined this, is I'm one person, kind of a one-man show with my business. Yeah. And I'm always and I've been doing this for 10 years, but I always waver on how much of like me do I bring into the business and how much is the business, like the brand, right? And I'll go back and forth, and I'm always doing this. And it's, I'm sure I've learned a lot, and I've been able to develop my brand and my professional self and how I put that in my business better, but it's always something I struggle with at the same time.
So what would make it actually no longer a struggle and effortless?
I don't know.
So let me throw something at you.
Okay.
What if who you are and what your business is one and the same?
Okay.
How does that sound to you?
I like it. I think that's also where my struggle is in trying to define. I don't know. Maybe part of it is me figuring out who I am too. Still, even at my age.
Right. So, Alfred, what do you stand for?
I stand for equality. I stand for, even though we're talking about it, authenticity, being truthful and honest. And I stand for those who are able to fully communicate their voice. I guess that is, I want to say, I guess, that is what I built my business around in many ways.
So, Alfred, that's who you are, and that's your brand.
Okay. This was like a therapy session, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, coaching is absolutely therapeutic. You bet. So when you just shared what you did with us, what was the feeling?
It's exciting. It's a little bit intimidating, but overall I do enjoy talking about what I do, because the more that I do that, the more excited it makes me when I do that.
So when you're excited, you know you're in the place of authenticity. And I'll pick up on your word. What is intimidating about it?
You are put into a vulnerable position, and so being vulnerable is always where you will put up some defenses. And so when I feel that, that's you feel that in the back of your head of trying to anticipate, oh, how are they going to take me, or how are they going to receive these words that I'm speaking out?
Okay. Good, great, deep sharing. So what if you looked at authenticity as building trust and relationships?
Okay.
Right? Because when you're vulnerable, and when I say vulnerable, I mean vulnerable in the proper context where it's safe to be vulnerable, because vulnerability creates trust. Trust builds relationships and builds a business.
Sure.
And absolutely can be scary, And actually, when you are scared, you're actually on the right track because you're being courageous and you're sharing with prospective clients or customers, whoever it is, in a way where they get you, right? That allows that connection. They trust you. They see your passion. And that's what builds a business. Great. So I want to invite people to give their thoughts or comments about what just happened between Alfred and myself. What are you connecting with? What are you observing?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in.
Sure, go ahead,
I really liked what you said, Alfred. I think, and then I think it's what Rachel was saying as well. Like, it is intimidating, but then when you ask those probing questions of like, okay, well, what is it that you stand for, and then just being true to that, I think that was also really cool.
Yeah, and as coaches, we often ask the question, which I didn't ask of Alfred. It's like, okay, when you're open and vulnerable, what's the worst thing could happen? Some people don't like you or they don't want to do business with you. Okay, if that's the worst, then what's the best? Right? More people will connect with me. More people want to work with me. Beautiful.
I feel like, and I totally agree with that in general. I don't want to speak for everyone here, but I feel like for folks in the LGBTQIA community, there is some level of like, we can't always just be our authentic self. I think we've kind of gone through life having to hide certain parts of ourselves and then like only be truly authentic once there's a trust there. So we can't just kind of go in with trust and then like be authentic as a part of that. There's that kind of like, oh, but who is this person? What can I say? How much of my true self can I reveal? Yep. So again, not speaking for everyone, but I think that's something that like for myself, I felt going through my life, and it's like, well, how authentic can I be and should I be and in this particular context? And I think a big part of being authentic is like being able to be confident in yourself and being yourself and not changing yourself around people. So that's something I think I struggle with, and maybe other folks do too.
So one thought, thank you, Susie, for bringing that up, because authenticity and how much you share is absolutely a personal choice. So I always go to the analogy of dating. So it's when you're dating, let's say, a prospective collaborator or co-founder or a prospective client, dating is getting to know each other. Dating is sharing in a way where you're matching each other, right? So it's not like on your first date, you put it all out on the table, right? Unless you feel that comfort and that there's a safety there. So I encourage everybody to consider any relationship, getting to know each other, as dating. And the big question is, do I want to go on a second date? So there's a cadence to the sharing. There can be a cadence to the authenticity. How much does that help you, Susie?
No, I think I agree. Like, I think, yeah, that's like a safety aspect with it as well, which makes it a bit more complicated sometimes. And like, obviously I'm privileged to live in a place and like, look like someone that doesn't have issues other folks do. So like, I'm not as concerned about that as some other folks are. But even then in my life, there's always that like, every time you start a new job, every time you meet a new friend, what is the point at which I can truly be authentic? I agree. It's definitely on a cadence.
By the way, authenticity is a continuum. Mm-hmm. So as you're sharing with others, everything you share is authentic, right? And then you can be, if you will, more authentic or more sharing, right? So you always want to, in terms of interacting with others, be authentic with what you're sharing, right? It's not that you have to put everything on the table to be authentic. You can be authentic in stages or a continuum, right? And but that's a great point to bring up. And safety is a critical part of being authentic. Okay. Yes, go ahead, Christina.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking about this conversation we're having, and definitely what Susie said really resonates. And I've been thinking about the difference between like bringing your authentic self and then bringing an integrated self into a space, because I feel like I'm moving through life as my authentic self, but I'm not always able to bring my full integrated self into those spaces. And
Great.
just
Right.
wonder if folks have thoughts on that.
Yeah. So I call that authentic. And then there's what I'm picking up from you, Christina, is the complete me, right? And that's going to be different in each situation, where you are in life, right? So absolutely, beautiful point. Others want to comment on what Christina just shared, which is very, very similar to what Susie shared.
I can
David,
launch
you're
into.
snapping those fingers. What's coming up for you?
Yep, I can launch into my own thoughts on bringing my full self. So I've recently started doing this a lot more, and I've gotten a lot happier. The issue I have, however, because it's among my identities, I am neurodivergent. I identify as neuroqueer,
Yep.
and it's more difficult for me to attune to other people. And I am very, very open naturally. So I struggle a bit because almost every time that I am my authentic self, it feels too much for people. So,
Okay.
for example, in my introduction, I didn't mention, oh yeah, also I'm a staff software engineer at Google, or oh, I'm part of a queer community and I provide mental health services as part of that queer community at parties. So just that's the challenge that I'm facing, and would love suggestions or at least empathy on this.
Right. So great. So David, summarizing everything you just did with specificity, what is the exact challenge for you?
The exact challenge is to encapsulate myself in a way that is easily digestible for other people.
Great. Excellent. So what would that ideally look like? And by the way, it can be different for each person you meet in each situation, but ideally, how would you share in a way where the other person gets you? And I think you use the word is not overwhelmed, right? Is comfortable with your share. What would that ideally look like?
Well, ideally, I would share everything, and the other person would actually be able to absorb it at the rate that I'm able to express it. That would be my ideal. I don't think it's the ideal of most people.
Okay, so really it's your way of being authentic, right? Because this workshop is not, here's the formula, this is how you have to be. This workshop is about, sharing with each other, brainstorming, giving you new insights, giving you some tools. So what if you, David, you shared, oh my God, so just now you shared so many parts of you, right? And what if you did it in a way where it all made sense, right? So you could share the different parts of you, and you share why each one, and like Christina, you had many parts of you and many experiences, and you do it in a way where for each part of you, you share why it makes sense. It makes sense why I did this. It makes sense why I do these 5 things right now. So the other person walks away with, I not only do I get David, I understand David. All parts of him, all the dots are connected, right? So you can connect all the dots. So
I really love that.
It all makes sense. And you could actually share it with the other person as you're networking sharing. If there's any part that you don't understand or get, let me know. Because when somebody gets you and understands all the parts, there won't be that overwhelm, right? So for instance, if you want to share in any situation about being, I think you said neuroqueer,
Yes.
right? So I would want to know, okay, well, what exactly does that mean? What do I need to know to interact with you, right? Because you want the other person to be very comfortable, right? It's that connection. Oh my God, do I have to talk differently? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? So when you put something out like, neuroqueer and share what that means, it gives, first of all, you are being the truly authentic self. And the other person goes, I know what that means. I know how to interact with David. You make it easy for them. And not that it's exactly the same. If somebody has an accent, I coach them to, first of all, acknowledge it with the other person. Somebody here said, I can't remember who, maybe somebody who's from the UK, Susie? Right. So Susie put out, it's obvious I have an accent. I'm from the UK. And then what I always coach the person to do, if there's anything you don't understand, right, stop me and I'll share it differently in a different way. That gives, you're acknowledging, it's not quite the elephant in the room, but you're acknowledging what's happening. And it gives both of you permission to have a dialogue around it. So by sharing neuroqueer and what exactly that means, you disarm the issue and you both can talk about it. And if there are any challenges, you can bring them up. So you're not tiptoeing around or not being the authentic you, which can break the connection. So thank you, David, for bringing that up.
One way that I've been doing this is when I do hold forth and recognize it,
yes.
I say, by the way, I'm neurodivergent. Info dumping is a love language for me. So that usually helps diffuse things, and then we can go back to individual parts. So that feels good. Thank you.
Great, excellent. All right, so others, what, let's go to Amy.
So I find that for me, I struggle with feeling like I'm being my authentic self because, and I think this is kind of what some of the other people are getting at too, because there are so many disparate parts, so like even if I'm going out to eat with somebody, like, are we going to eat European continental style, with the fork upside down? Are we going to eat chopstick style? Are we going to eat Nepali eat with your fingers style? Are we going to eat, and like how to kind of be my authentic self, while respecting wherever it is I am in the world. And I just feel like, especially when I talk to a lot of like traditional American white people, that as soon as I start to talk about like being an international or being queer or being neurodivergent, that like they just shut off. And they're like, no, I'm done. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. And I'm like, but like, I don't know. I just feel like I have to sometimes hide pieces, but also code switch pieces in and out, to try to put the other person at ease.
Okay, so, well, first of all, thank you for the courage for sharing all that. And one word that I picked up that stood out was disparate, the different disparate parts of me. So what I'm hearing in that is you don't see yet that they all beautifully fit together, right? So just like we did with David, you have control over telling your story, what you do, your background, what inspired. In fact, storytelling is the most powerful way to connect with somebody. right? Because we connect with stories rather than just ticking off credits and this is what I do. You know, let me share my story. And it's easier, and somebody used the word digestible, which is a great word. So the whoever you're sharing this with, you're storytelling. And notice I use the word sharing, not proving, not convincing, not enlisting, right? But storytelling, which is very conversational and allows you to tell your full story. And again, you know, to Christina and Susie's point, it's not going to be the same for everybody. And you don't have to disclose everything right away. You craft your story for the situation. And that you have control over. How somebody responds or whether they connect with you or not, that's not in your control. How you share your story and tell it is completely in your control. And the best way to do that, as I shared earlier, is they all work together. My story makes perfect sense. And one of my favorite phrases for, you know, judging yourself or regrets or anything else is to look at anything you did in your life and say, it made perfect sense that back then I did that. Even if it was something very hurtful to somebody, or it's not justifying it, it's sharing, first of all, how you were human. It's part of your story. Yes, it's being vulnerable, but you're doing it in a way where you're actually embracing it. And if it is a negative experience, is how have you grown from it? What did you learn from it? Which is often, you know, the best way to heal trauma is to share it. Again, you don't have to share it in all situations. You don't have to share the details, but what you can share is your story around the trauma, right? You could create a new story around the trauma. I call that reauthoring. You could share about how it's made you who you are today. Maybe that traumatic experience has motivated you to start a particular business. Maybe that trauma has brought out the empathy in you, right? So you can share in a way where, I love the word, it's digestible to somebody else. You don't scare them away. They don't think you're crazy and wacky and I don't want to deal with you. So part of the storytelling is how you are very much in control of your life. Very, very important. All right, Amy, how is that feedback for you?
I'm definitely gonna need a little time to like digest it and
Absolutely.
and work on reauthoring my story.
And that's yes, and by the way, enjoy that ride.
Mm.
And you may come up with 5 different stories till you find the one that really feels right, or a combination of them. The important thing is this is all in your control and power. Beautiful. All right, Susie.
I just want to real quick. I just wanted to say I'm like really sorry, both Amy and David. You guys have felt that people aren't interested or have dismissed you or have heard these things about you and just kind of checked out. Like that sucks and must be super invalidating. But like, yeah, if I've met either of you at a meetup or an event and you start telling me all these different facets to yourself, I'd be like, fuck yeah, tell me more. That's great. That's awesome. Like, I love we all have these different parts of our personality, and like, it's often hard in these like, hey, who are you? What do you do? To like actually reveal all of yourself in that short amount of time. But I love that you guys do it. And yeah, it's not you, it's other people if they're not interested in that. I would love to meet someone like either of you guys, any of you guys, and hear your stories and like hear what drives you, hear what you're passionate about. And it's not just this one thing, which no shade to anyone that's just into one thing, but like that's great. It's yeah, I think we have to mold ourselves to fit into this world to please other people. And I definitely fall in that people pleasing thing and changing myself and changing my story to please other people. But like something I'm trying to reinforce in myself is like, it's not always you. You're gonna have the most perfect pitch ever. You can say the most interesting thing, and some people just aren't gonna care, and that's them. That ain't you. So
thank you for that, Susie. I got 2 thoughts around it. Number one, when you share the different parts of you are, or I call it all the layers. Number one, you share your uniqueness, and it sets you apart from everybody else. And Susie, to your point about people pleasing, no matter how tempting it is, and it's almost always from your childhood, it's survival, it never works for two reasons. Number one, the other person knows you're pleasing them. And number two, you get very resentful being a people pleaser. And it's absolutely the opposite of authenticity. And when you go from, I don't need to please anybody, I need to be authentic and see who connects with me. Beautiful. Thank you, Susie. All right, others who want to be, what else comes up around authenticity or challenges around being authentic? Yep, go Mark.
So I guess my piece is a little bit from a different angle. I find myself sometimes when I am feeling comfortable and I am being like fully my authentic self, sometimes people come up to me and will kind of like admit that I intimidate them. Sometimes like they will say, oh, like you're walking into a room, you're so confident, you're so like put together, like how like I can't even approach you because you're so like intimidating. And for some time that kind of like tripped me out and I didn't really know how to like respond to that because I'm just like, I'm just being myself, like I'm just being my authentic self and I'm like intimidating people, which is kind of like really not my forte, not my intention. But it's kind of like you said, it's just like this is on them. Like I have my own, I'm responsible for my own kind of like actions and reactions. And like their reaction is their own kind of responsibility. But it's kind of a struggle to kind of like get that kind of feedback.
Sure.
When I'm trying to kind of like be nice to people and all that.
Great. Okay. So, great. Oh my God, you've given me so much to work with. So, this has to do, and I actually do another workshop on the art of giving and receiving feedback. So, a couple of thoughts for you, Mark. Well, first of all, when somebody says you're intimidating, number one, they're being authentic, right? They're being courageous. And it doesn't mean you are intimidating, but that the issue is they feel your intimidation, right? So it's not like it's a right or wrong. The first thing you want to do is acknowledge them for having the courage to share that with you. You don't have to get into a debate around it or justify it or anything else. It's more about acknowledging the person and understanding where they're coming from in saying that. So sharing that, well, first of all, I want to acknowledge you for saying that for me. That must be very courageous. And I would really welcome, because I love feedback. What was it about our interaction that made it intimidating for you? Right? So you're acknowledging them, you're giving them space, you're not pushing them away. You're not saying, no, I'm not. And that creates safety and it creates a relationship. And it will actually give you some specific feedback and maybe some tips that you can do to, in their minds or others, what would be less intimidating. And it doesn't mean that they're right or wrong, or you have to change anything. It's more about building the relationship with that person, right? Rather than defending yourself or I did something wrong, or even I'm intimidating. It's not about that. It's about bridging the connection with that person, giving them space safely to share it. And you may get some invaluable feedback. And another thing you could do, especially if they feel intimidated, is to invite them into the conversation. So I'd love to know about what you do, right? So that could be a second piece of it, is to give them room and space to share who they are. And you
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Right. you create more of an equality or an evenness, right? Because intimidation, and to Susie's point, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's about you, right? It means for whatever reason, they've created a gap. They see the intimidation this way, and you don't necessarily want to get into their background or coach them or therapy or anything else. Give them a stage to share, and that goes such a long way. And as I said, it may give you some valuable tips about how to be present or how to present yourself without, to Susie's point, taking it anything personally. Okay. All right, 516, whoever you are, I know your hand is up if you can share. All right, whoever's calling on the phone, if you want to share. Maybe they can't. Okay, I guess they can share. All right, who else would like to share, what they've noticed so far, what's coming up?
Hello, can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you on the phone.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, I was in a meeting, which is why I couldn't respond when you originally were speaking for people to get their information. My name is Cherie. I do freelance copywriting and graphic design. And I think I do have this issue, which is why I'm here at this workshop. I try to just show up authentically as myself, as best I can, without necessarily having to preface everything in a meeting with a new person or a new client. And sometimes showing up as yourself, as you mentioned, people will be put off by it immediately, and then you don't have to go into that second step. And it's so risky, but it's less nerve-wracking than the way I conducted myself before. So I came here to kind of see if there was other advice for stricter situations. I think I'm fortunate in that I would do freelance, and so I can choose my clients. But if I were to go into a more corporate setting and do the same work, I'm not sure how I might adjust. That's all I guess.
It's a little challenging for me to hear your exact words. Did anybody understand where she's coming from?
Perhaps not. I'm freelancing, and so it gives me a lot more freedom to show up as myself and let the other person's reaction determine how I proceed. But if I were to move into a more corporate or a more structured space, I guess what would your advice be on how to manage that situation?
You mean how to adapt to a corporate situation rather than a freelance?
Yeah, or I know that you can maybe not your authentic self in the interview and then be your authentic self in the place itself. And you can also check out the corporate culture before you begin the process of going into the job.
One phrase that I like a lot is how you are in one situation is how you are in every situation, right? So being your authentic self, is as a freelancer, I know there's a corporate culture and there are differences, but you want to be the essential you, whatever that means. So again, I know I'm not being very specific because again, I was struggling with, hearing all your words. So if anybody else that did hear the words and could give any feedback, I would appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna have to move on because I can't give my full thoughts to that because of just difficulty hearing. All right, others. What else comes up around authenticity? What it means, what challenges are, what kind of support you need.
Yeah, I really like the topic of like being authentic because like I think a lot of the other people have said, there's so many different buckets that I fall into. And when I was listening to everybody else, I thought for me it's also about like the acceptance of particular types of communities when like I'm talking to them. So for example, here in the like Sydney, like if you don't look a particular way or you don't act in a particular way, then a lot of people don't think you're, for example, queer. And so when like you sort of have to self-disclose all the time, and you have to, you know, figure out how you can do that without it being like sticky. So I think like I was really interested and drawn to this workshop because of like, obviously it's a StartOut workshop, and I love that idea of how do you explore like sharing something that is so important to you in like business context where you sort of have to like, for me, I like sort of have to disclose it, not have to, but it's sort of the onus is on me to disclose it and then make myself feel comfortable in those situations. So I've found that really interesting. And when you're talking about passions, like the LGBTIQA plus community specifically for business like owners and leaders is something that I really truly care about. So making like putting those words where I feel comfortable and I feel confident in saying who I am, I think has been really interesting reflections for me.
Yeah, so great, excellent. So many wonderful points, Veronica. Know what you have control over, know that you have choices, and above all, trust your intuition.
Love that.
In the moment about safety, how much to share, how you share it, right? And I call all that, I call it dating, but I also call it a dance, right? So how you interact with anybody, there's a dance involved, right? So yes, it's your choice, but you're also picking up cues. Is that other person respecting me? Are they listening? Do they get my value? And that's the dance to create that beautiful safety.
Love that.
Right. Just like with Mark, I suggested it, when somebody shares some feedback, it's a dance. That dance, that connection. All right. We have time for a couple more shares. I can't believe how much we've covered this amount of time. It's pretty amazing. Final thoughts before we're going to do a closing go around, and I'll ask everybody to share, what their takeaways have been from today's workshop. But before we do, just want to create a space for anybody else to share what else may be coming up, where else they may need support. All right.
Would love to, sorry, like maybe at the end, but I was just really like always really interested to like practice pitching. So maybe we can do that at the end. Because I just loved everybody's pitches as well. It's made me really think about my own.
Go ahead, Veronica, take two. Right now.
Okay, maybe I should have given myself a moment before I said that. I don't know if my pitch would necessarily change, but I think it's for me that like your guidance for us to be a little bit clearer and a little bit more forward with our passions, I think has been for me something where I'm going to maybe rework my pitch, because as I was saying before, like my passion when you asked me is like I really care about queer business leaders and business owners, and making sure that something that Susie mentioned of growing up in the way that a lot of us would have grown up, like there were certain things where we had to hold ourselves back, and I think that holds us back sometimes it may hold us back in terms of limiting beliefs for business as well. And I think it'd be so great to have support and assistance to be able to make sure that the business leaders that can change this world aren't necessarily held back by those limiting beliefs that weren't consciously chosen by them. So that's what I really care about and I'm passionate about, and putting that into like a niche, and also like a more solidified pitch, I think is something that I'm going to definitely be working on.
Beautiful. You've actually started the closing go round. So what are your Amy, what are your takeaways?
My turn?
Yep, go Amy.
Okay. So the takeaways that I've got is to work on reauthoring my story and making it more affirmative and rather than all of my ums and my tryings. So I am directing a reality TV show focused on women-led entrepreneurship so that we can bring that information to the masses.
Beautiful. That's what I call declaring. And to your point, Veronica, any strong pitch is about, yes, it's clarity, it's charisma, it's having a command, and it's declaring. This is what I do. Beautiful. Marie, what's your takeaways from today's workshop?
How can I be succinct? Well, my takeaway is really about just embrace your authentic self wherever you are at that moment. And so just embrace it along the journey, your authentic self.
Beautiful. Christina, takeaways.
I'm not sure it's a takeaway. It's more of just the gratitude for this space, because I've been really fortunate to be in a lot of spaces with other social entrepreneurs and then in spaces with a lot of, you know, LGBTQ advocates, but to be in a space that kind of combines both worlds helps to, integrate myself and put me more on a path towards authenticity. So that in itself was really helpful. Thank you.
Takeaways. Excellent. And you got a heart on that from Susie. Susie, takeaways for you.
Yeah, I mean, just take away this is an awesome group of people, and like I love how everyone's working on things that are kind of helping other people or helping the world in some way. That's freaking awesome. I guess on a personal level, I feel like I'm awful at my elevator pitch. I feel like I change it every time. I feel like I'm never going into it confidently. So I want to practice that more, but also probably sharing why I'm doing it and not just the kind of listing off the facts of what I do.
Beautiful.
And doing it succinctly somehow.
Great. Let's go to Mark.
I think my takeaway is it's been kind of reassuring to hear other people who are in the same kind of sphere, who are neurodivergent, who are like identify as queer, and we're all kind of trying to do, well, I guess trying, not that word, but
good catch, right?
Striving.
You're doing.
Yes. So it's nice to see other people going through the same process and just like acknowledging that a pitch will never be perfect. It's okay to change it every time. It's like the situation is going to be different every time. And that kind of like helps me kind of like take off some of the pressure out of the pitch. Because a lot of the time just the stress itself is just like getting to me, and I'm trying to be perfect, and I'm trying to be like to do this like the correct way, where I just need to let go and just like let it happen and show my excitement, show my like what I'm passionate about.
Coaches call that taking imperfect action, which is incredibly courageous. I often say, be messy.
Yeah.
Great. Let's go to Rachel.
A lot to chew on for the next lifetime, pretty much. But I think a lot around authenticity being a continuum, and I think it's really unpacking it to say don't be a safe kind of authenticity. Even just coming to terms with saying that you're queer, it took me a long time to get to that point of saying one part, and that's one part of my identity. We all have multitudes of them. I think the thing that really has inspired me for thinking about my own stories and how I would craft them is that you really do have to lead with your identity as a source of passion and confidence. And then that will actually attract people. Even if you give them a story and they're like, nice to meet you, and they walk away. Well, oh well, we have 8 billion people on the planet. If someone doesn't
I call that not a match.
Yeah, that no harm, no foul. But I think the idea is that if you are authentic and you are messy, it tends to attract people. I think people crave stories and they crave connecting, especially now after a pandemic. Being inside, people want to connect with one another. And I think if you have a authentically you story, that's something worth compelling. So Very
Great. Alfred, takeaways.
Sure. I think I have two main takeaways. The first being more mindful of the language and the word choice that I use, where, even in subtleties, like apologizing, or, like when I said, I'm sorry I was late, it puts you on not equal footing with with who you're talking to. And that's not fair to yourself. And so being more mindful of that, and listening to being more careful about my word choice. And also in that same vein, when I am talking about myself or what I do, really being mindful of where I feel that hum and that excitement, and taking note of those conversations. And it'll help me stay in that zone and access that better as I move forward in talking about myself and what I do, and whatever that gray area is between my own personal self and my business and my brand.
So Alfred, I want to point out how different you were at the beginning of this call and how you are right now.
Thank you.
I completely felt your presence now, and you're in the most beautiful way, your power. Great. Levi, takeaways. Oh, maybe Levi, can you come off mute? All right.
Me and that mute button are having an issue today.
Okay, I can hear you now.
But the biggest takeaway that I got was it's just showing up and being who you are, and there's going to be people that I've heard others say that may not be vibing with you, but that's okay.
Yeah, good.
And don't worry about what everybody else is thinking, is because it's really is all about what we and how we treat ourselves. And that's what's most important.
Beautiful. Well said, Levi. And Anne, if you're there, if you want to just share any takeaways. Okay, so that's a wrap. If coaching speaks to you and you want to do a 30-minute complimentary, reach out to me through jimarnoff.com. Thank you for your vulnerability. Excellent, deep conversation. This brings me great joy, and it allows me to be of service by all of your being open, authentic, and just very giving. So good night, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.